Let me speak about abundance of being. Let me speak about that. Let me speak about the heart. Let me speak about that. Abundance of being is the entirety of this. The whole entirety of this majestic appearance. When I was younger, I've always enjoyed views, like everyone enjoys views. So I would enjoy sitting on high places and gazing out at views, mountains, oceans, countryside, tree lines, gardens. I never found it satisfying because the view was beautiful, but there was distance between me and the view. I could never absorb the view. I found it dissatisfying. When I was younger and I tried to relate to another person, I found it dissatisfying, hopeless. There was always a person and something here that couldn't really merge. Is this abundance of being seen? Or is it one singular experience? The shift in identity is subtle, yet grand. I said when we first started talking, self-realization is the loss of the I thought. That sounds like some complicated technical thing, some dissection of what we might call mind. Is it that complicated? Is it that far away? In moments of awe and wonder, in moments of passionate joy and satisfaction, is not that ego lost then? I think everyone knows those glimpses of, which we might call temporary contentments, a falling away of some kind of prison. So now when I look at a view, there is the appearance, the physical space, the colours, the light, the seeing itself, and nothing else. What is it that rises up and wants to claim and grasp and possess and resist? What is that? What is that phenomena in people? I would like to describe abundance of being as 360-degree openness, as four-dimensional openness, as openness. I said last night that the perception that there is something inside and something outside is a perception only. I know that there is a Derek, and if a bear comes in here and starts to attack somebody, I am going to fight the bear. And I know there are responses in this human body and in what we call the mind that are going to continue throughout life. But I don't see someone watching all of that. I don't see someone looking at the view. I see the seeing, the view, and the intimacy of that enjoyment. And I know in this life of Derek, there will be things to do and sort out. Problems. It's part of the human experience, but there'll be responses that will respond to the problems. Some of them might be challenging, some of them might be easy. So Derek isn't inert. There is vitality and passion and activity, motivation, interests, dynamism, pleasures. This is part of the human experience. So I want to talk about abundance of being. It's beautiful. Sometimes I have a dream experience. I dream I've lost a tooth. I had this dream last night, and I have it sometimes. While I'm dreaming it, I know this tooth is not lost. In reality, I know it. But the experience of the tooth, and the tooth being loose in my mouth and trying to reposition it, is absolutely vivid. It's absolutely intensely vivid. So the feeling, the colour, the touch on my tongue, the whole thing about it is absolutely vivid. And while it's happening, in that vividness, I know that in reality there is no gap in my mouth and there's no missing tooth. The I thought is like that. I want to put it to you that it's like that. That there's an appearance. But you can learn to know that it isn't real. Like my dream. You can learn to know that it isn't real. Who can explain the mystery of these things? What we're trying to do is face the fact that there are these minds that behave in a certain way and these attitudes and these assumptions. We're trying to face that fact. We're using the intelligence and the wonder of the spiritual teachings. We're investigating. We're applying the Vichara, and we're discovering a more sophisticated way of seeing than previously was there. So some old habit of mine might move in me. There might be an old habit of mine move in me. And there might be some constriction and some apparent loss of ground. But if that happens, I spot it immediately, and I know while it's happening, just like my tooth. I know while it's happening that it is a phenomena only and not the ground. In this abundance of being, all the natural faculties that you're used to remain. Perception, intelligence, senses, seeing, looking, walking, doing, talking, communicating, reading the newspaper, seeing the stars, shopping, responding to things. If the bear comes in, you're all going to respond in some way. Engaging in activity, eating, shopping for clothes. Thinking about things when we have to face some complicated problem. If you're writing a book or redesigning your house or dealing with your in-tray at work, there has to be thought. There must be the movement of thought. The movement of thought is a natural function. Thank goodness, the mind is magnificent. Without that possibility, there would be no operation, there'd be no operating. So the fact the mind might be busy with thoughts is perfectly fine. And I have previously identified that function of thought in two sections. One is the responsive or reactive mind, which is simply functioning in response to things. Fast, elegant, intelligent, active, inspired, motivated. Boom, 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 boom. Thinking, working, doing. Then there's another mind, which is what I have called the commentator or the narrator. It's the novelist narrating the story of life and thinking abstractly about me and this and that and then and when and how and if. And it's in that commentator, that abstracted mind, that almost all of the discomforts and mental pain exists. And the entirety of that, perhaps not the entirety, but more than 95% of that is utterly, utterly pointless. It's not leading to a solution. It's not going to resolve in some place. It is noise. And I know that. And have learnt that profoundly. And many of you here have as well. So if an old habit moves in me like that, I spot it fast and delete it. And if it's persistent, I work hard to delete it. And it's still fast, but I work hard, tough. I'm not willing to allow that performance to happen because I know it to be utterly pointless. Now, functioning mind is great. Welcome that. Doing, acting, achieving, creating, communicating, writing, speaking, drawing, enjoying. And it's possible to spot the difference. So abundance of being is no different from what is happening now. This is what's important to take away from this place. The spiritual texts are rich with stories about transcendental worlds, astral planes, huge other dimensional experiences, heavens and hells, the claims of visions and lights and all these things. Spiritual experiences do happen to people, but they're random and they're not the point. This now is magnificent. Why would you need a vision of some other world This is exquisite. If this is experienced from the perspective of that conflicted, protected, restrained, somewhat confused and defended inside I, then there is pain and loneliness. If somehow that I just described is not there, then there is abundance of being, intimacy of space, beauty and creativity, and the capacity to deal with hard problems, and the capacity to apply rigorous strength and decisiveness when that's needed. So who is looking at the distant mountain? Isn't there just the mountain and the experience of seeing, and isn't that it? That is it. And you will know that the Veda, the Upanishad, is gloriously clear on this very profound point. That which sees, in other words this, that which is seen, the mountain, and the process of seeing is all one power. One power, appearing, conscious, and knowing. One power. And when the texts say, Advaita, all is one, that's what it means. There's not a separate physical man distinct from the rest of the universe, looking out at something separate from him. It appears like that. It appears like that. Only because that's the concept we hold as we experience this abundance of being. And with that concept scrutinized, seen through, eroded and deleted, there is the abundance in all its creative, natural flow. There will still be aches and pains. There will still be cleaning of teeth. There will still be dealing with the hole in the roof. There will still be putting up with tedious tasks. And there may still be random thoughts which are persistent and appear in these minds until this body dies. Some of them you can overcome, some of them you might not be able to. Who cares? So in this conversation, I'm bringing the esoteric into the ordinary, the divine vision into the straightforward, the inaccessible into the immediate. And I'm putting it to you that this exact presenting second, in all its character, is absolutely exquisite. Whether there's rain or whether there's sun, whether there's a violent bear or whether there's a beautiful, lovely child. Those characteristics are different and will respond differently, but the appearance is exquisite. to bring this change about beyond theory into living actual experiential reality is a shift in identity, and that comes about through sadhana. That is my experience.